Everyone, and welcome to the I'm not going to let you sleep talk after lunch. Okay, I don't know if you have good food today, hopefully, and hopefully you will not be sleeping in this talk. So please, let's start that. Let's start doing a little bit of stretching. No, I'm joking. I'm not that kind of speaker. So yeah, to be honest, everything was said already. Not much to add. One thing, there is a book coming out on Fastify on June 9th, so if you want to take a look, name is Accelerate Web Development with Fastify. It's on Amazon. It's probably the top of the category at this point, and it's going like crazy. Anyway, apart from that, I haven't even have a slide for it, so I'm so good at promoting. Anyway, this talk is about a topic that I really, really love. Object-Relational Mapping. I've been using Object-Relational Mapper for probably most of my career, or a good chunk of my career. And yeah, I don't know. So what do ORM promise you? Okay. So, you know, they have this kind of metaphor of, oh, we are going to map your database to objects very cleanly. And if you follow these rules, your code would actually be fantastic and well organized and have no problem whatsoever. You know what happens with spaghetti when you cook it, right? Also, how many of you have used Java in your lifetime? Okay, so for all of you and for all the others, I'm sorry, do you know what happens to your application when it uses an ORM? It hibernates. Sorry. Java joke, only the people that knew Java. I've been trying to get some. I've used Hibernate. I seem I'm young, but I'm not. What do ORM do that's wrong, and why it's a big anti-pattern for your code? So whenever you're writing, typically most ORM have this concept of a model object. How many of you coded a model? Everybody, right? I don't know. It's who has not ever coded a model class in their lifetime? Great. Okay. Amazing. So good for you. You have dodged a bullet. Okay. So what's wrong with the concept of a model? The problem with models is that a model typically has three main responsibilities. It manages persistency, it holds the data in memory, and it implements business logic, which sounds a little bit too much. You know, there is this thing called single responsibility principle that is one of the engineering things that, I don't know, went somewhat popular. So I don't know, but why is everybody doing this? Okay. So the reason why everybody's doing this is that this nice pattern called the MVC pattern, Model View Controller. What does this thing say? It's a structure to organize your application. Originally was invented by Smalltalk to develop application on the desktop, and then adapted for the front end. Ouch! Now, what is the problem? So the problem is actually easy to follow. So you typically, if you're coding your Node web app or whatever, you have three boxes. You have the model, the view, and the controller. You have three boxes. So you want to code a feature. You have three boxes. You put the feature in one of your three boxes. Okay? Good, right? Now, do we have view still? Probably not. So we have controllers and models. Well, very quickly, you have 2,000 models in your application. It's actually very common, right? You think that 2,000 is a small number? This is number from a real-world project. They had 200 engineers that are working on an application with 2,000 models. And in order to have that system start, it takes 1 minute to load with all those code. Why? Well, because it's a model view controller. You load all your models at the same time. It does not scale well in complexity because you only have two things into which you organize your boxes. In fact, ORMs are so great that they deliver spaghetti code since the 90s. Okay? Sorry. It's old system, eventually. And I like my carbonara, by the way, so if you want, we can talk about carbonara later on. Back in the days, I created this framework called Fastify in more or less around 2016. And I was looking at how we could structure our applications. And I said, well, we should not really be promoting a model view controller architecture here. So what can we do instead that's not model view controller? Well, what you really want to do when you're building an application is that you want to structure your code, line out your code around the features that you're building. Okay, so you have your product, you have your cart, right? And then you have your orders. You probably have the user metadata, the advertisement, the B2B, shipping. I don't know, I'm lost enough space in the stage. So anyway, you have all these things and you want to line it up one after the other and structure your code around the features of your system and not about the fact that it's a model or a controller or a view. So you want the code to be close to the rest of the stuff. It also allows you to migrate to microservices when you want to migrate to microservices, right? So again, why all of this matter? Do you remember when this thing first came out? I don't know, how many of you were doing software? Everybody thought, oh, this is a game changer. And how does this relate to the Pareto principle? Well, the Pareto principle tells us that the 80% of the outcomes come from 20% of all causes for any given event. And what does this even mean for us and why they relate to the iPhone? Well, in practice, it means that we can ship 80% of the feature, numbers made up, of course, in very little amount of effort. Okay, we can ship a lot of features with very little effort, and some features are going to be incredibly hard to develop. You have probably seen all day. You start a new project, it's greenfield, everybody's shipping features every week, and then after 6 months, management is super upset. Oh, your velocity is going down, I'm firing half of you, or something. I don't know, people are doing this these days. And so why does it matter with the iPhone? When the first iPhone came out, it did not have copy and paste. I don't know if you remember, the first iPhone could not copy and paste strings, for data from one thing to another, because it was fucking hard, sorry for the word. It was freaking hard. Beep, please, in the recording. It was freaking hard on the to implement copy and paste in real life. Okay, it's an hard problem, unfortunately, and so they didn't do it. Fine, okay, ship faster. So when you're building a new stuff, something new. What would you optimize for? Okay, would you optimize for shipping more features with less effort, or with actually make your life easier when you need to ship like the big ones? Okay, the one that's actually very hard to do. And typically, as the industry, every one of us fell on this trap. And we implement things they use things that, oh, it has a great tutorial, and everything is perfect, okay, in the great tutorial. And now, oh, I'm using it for real, and it doesn't really make any sense, okay? I've seen this in practice. So, and that's the problem, right? How do we implement the complex feature? So what would you optimize for? And look, if you want to choose a technology, you might decide to pick a technology that helps you remove all the repetitive tasks, okay? To the point of, oh, I want to ship something super fast, I'm using a no-code tool because it's great, okay? I can ship, that's the ultimate form of tech debt, of picking a no-code tool, because I can ship something just with a few clicks, and up until it doesn't support my workflow, and then I'm stuck, and I need to rewrite the whole thing from scratch. That's the ultimate form of optimizing for, the beginning of a project. Or even, somebody will say, oh, I'm not even doing that. I'm just connecting together Figma pages for the first iteration. I've seen people doing that. And it's great, works. But then if you want to optimize for complex features, typically it comes with a little bit more inconvenience for the developers in their day-to-day, okay? So what do you do? Okay, do you do one, do you do the other? I don't know, you need to pick. Oh, pick, what do you pick? So going back to ORMs and why I don't like them, so what you see is that you are coding your migration, you're coding your schema, and then you probably are running it, and then you set up your ORMs, then you need to write your models, then you need to write a lot of routes or resolvers to build your models, and then after a bit of time, you're screwed because you're back writing custom SQL anyway, because the ORM is slow and problematic, and it doesn't do the thing that you want. Or you don't know what it's actually doing. It's, oh, I'm just calling 2 methods here. Why it's running a database query that's this long? What is happening, okay? So anyway, I'm not super fond of them. What do the ORMs help you? Well, ORMs help you at the beginning of a project for CRUD and a lot of other things that are easy. But there's probably something better to do, because like for me, the best line of code is the one that I don't have to write. I have another way of saying this, but it's probably another bad word that I cannot say on stage. So, and the actual thing is, if I don't have to write code, it does not become legacy, and I don't have to maintain it. So it's probably better for everybody. So when I want to write a backend, I have a few requirements from it. I want a backend with the quality that I want. Okay, I'm sorry, I've been doing this node thing for a bit. But I want something that can run locally. I don't want one of those fancy databases in the cloud, I'm sorry. If you like Dynamo or others, I'm not in love, okay? I want a database that I can run on my computer, okay? And decide where to host it. And then I want to be able to do queries in the custom, using the custom APIs of the database. I want some basic authorization, because I don't know, coding authorization is actually super horrible. I don't know how many of you coded authorization system. They are horrible. And I want GraphQL, REST support, maybe Apollo Federation, I don't know. I want to be able to deploy it where I want, and multiple database. Okay. So I go back and code. Sorry, this was the talk. No, I'm joking. So I typically want to have the cake and eat the cake at the same time. I want this backend done, but I don't want to write it. So last year, I had this thought of maybe I can just write something that could speed it up for all of you to create it. And this is part of the reason why we created what is now called Platformatic DB. And it's at Platformatic, what we want to do is we want to help you build a solution that can be very easy to use at the start of a project, but also something that does not stand in your way to actually ship complex features. So, build something gradually. So, Platformatic DB. Platformatic DB, essentially, it's one less step than coding the stuff from scratch. You just, define your schema, which is great. Then you apply your migration, whatever. And Platformatic DB takes care of the rest. You get your routes and so on. And if you need something custom, which of course, you will need something custom, you can just code it with JavaScript. And I'll show you how to do that in a moment. How does it work? Well, it's all based on top of Fastify. So we have an OpenAPI plugin, a GraphQL plugin, and your code all sitting in the same Fastify node process, the same Fastify system, and it all works fine. So, demo time. Would it work? I'm challenging the demo god as usual. Okay, I don't know. Apparently, I have a bad reputation for demos that don't work. So what I'm doing is I'm running our generator to create a database. And I'm doing this now. And yeah, no, I'm sorry. I'm not doing npm install now, but I'm going to do it later. And generate the types. And yeah, we're not going to deploy this using the GitHub Actions yet. Okay, and in another thing, we are just doing npmi so that it's installing while we are talking. So how do I run this thing? So what does this generate me? This has generated something interesting. We are generating a configuration file and some type definition, some migrations. This is our database table. Easy, not easy, whatever. You know, it's a table with 2 fields. And it has also generated some automatic types. More on the types later. And so now what we are going to do, we are going to call Platformatic start to deploy this. Ouch. What happened? Okay, so we can go in Platformatic DB, okay? And we have this, and what we can do is we can try it out, for example, and we can store something like called Star Wars in here. So you see, this is an open API generator, and we have all the things created for us. And we run this, and this is being stored as Star Wars. We can also run it and as graphical, and we could, for example, query all the movies and get all the movies, okay? Also, what we could do, we could use subscriptions and WebSockets. So if we want to save something else, like the Wizard of Oz, I could run it, and oh no, that's true. So I need to do that. I need to choose Windows. Cool. So this Windows is running that. This Windows is storing not the Wizard of Oz now, but Harry Potter. And I'm storing this. And this, you see, we got Harry Potter on the other window via graphical subscription. All of this comes out of the box, as I said. It's actually very straightforward to build APIs with this. What else is there? Well, a few more things. So this is finished running. So what we could do, for example, is we have a plugin, and this is just a Fastify, normal Fastify plugin. So I could potentially just call my decorators. And for example, I could define my own routes. So I could do app.get, and I don't know, get all the titles for my movies, okay? And this is actually very easy to do. And, oh, I need the arrow, okay? And yeah, not that, const titles, await, app.platformatic.entities.movie. You see, there is all auto-completion here. So find, and we need to pass in empty objects because we want all of them. And then we can return the titles.map, and here am.title because everything is correct. We have refreshed this, and if we go to our Swagger UI, we refresh it, and we automatically have the titles already defined. All of this is live eroding behind the scene, and we could try it out and execute, and this is returning the titles that we have just shown. So you can easily customize. You can add custom resolvers to GraphQL. You could add a lot of things. Okay, so this is good. What can we do now? Well, it supports relations. It supports all the things that you want to think you could support. So, for example, if you want relations, we could add Platformatic DB migrations create, and we got a new migration, and here we could do add other stuff if you want to. So I am conscious of time, and I'm skipping some stuff. So if you want, I can show you how the migration works if you want to come after the talk to my booth, if you are interested. Something that's very cool, though, is that I could even deploy this to Platformatic Cloud, which is actually pretty nice. And we just released our paid plans. So if you are interested, that would be cool. And hopefully, the demo gods and the Wi-Fi will be with me. So we have a new front end. So we just need to accept the new term of service. And we can create a new app, and it's JSNation demo. and we create the app. We need to deploy something, so we call it main, and create our workspace. And this is done, takes a little bit of time. Then we can download our credentials. It's main.plt.txt. And I can just need to move this from downloads to here. OK. And then I just need to do platformatic deploy keys main. And it's now deploying it. So will it run? Will it not run? We'll see. Over the Wi-Fi, over the conference Wi-Fi. So typically this takes 1.5 minutes over normal stuff, but we'll see if we'll come back to it later to see if it has deployed. So while we are at it, Platformatic DB is all built on top of Fastify. All of those are just Fastify plugins, so you can use them whenever you want if you want to. Very easy to test, very easy to write unit tests to. There are docs and guides for all of the stuff. And you can even use those plugins in your app if you want to. So you don't need to use our main runner or anything. So I have a question for you. Did I code an ORM? OK, this is a fun one. Yeah, as I said, Platformatic Cloud is available today. So it's still running. OK, the Wi-Fi is what it is. So it will be there in a bit. So thank you very much. Maybe the Wi-Fi will help me. I am more or less question time. So I'm actually taking the question here until this is done. So we'll see if the conference Wi-Fi will get to me. So
let's give it up for Matteo.